Welcome back. So now that I've tried to show you my thoughts about how I made my packages work together and communicate using the different dependencies, let's try and actually do a flow. So we start out by just calling read all in our UI right here by pressing 2. We read all the videos. And how does that actually work? How does it go through the different layers, get the data and returns it back to our UI so we can show it? And I'm just going to jump into my code right here and just show you when I press the 2, I actually go and choose read all right here, which is a method in the console application. Right now I'm in the very top, I'm in the console application, and there I go and call the services read all method. Now this guy actually goes to read all the messages. Now notice I'm not calling the implementation class directly, I'm actually just using an interface right here. So let's just try and go into the read all, and you'll notice I get to the interface, and that's one of the very important points here using the clean and the onion architecture. Everything that communicates should be done through interfaces or contracts. So I need to, of course, have some kind of implementation. It's not enough just to explain what I want to do. I also need to know now on runtime how to actually do it. So what's going to happen is this read all is actually implemented somewhere. So I can press the small hammer right here and go to implementation. By looking at this guy right here, I'll go to the inheritance, and here is how we actually called that implementation, meaning that now we're trying to read all from the repository. Now the repository again is actually also just an interface that we pass into the service. So again, we try to decouple everything as much as possible. Everything is just contracts. So in the service implementation, he knows he needs a repository in order to actually execute and work with a data source somewhere in the world. So if we go down here to the read all and we just click the button to find all, that's just control or command, click right here, I get to the repository interface, and that knows that I can actually add a video or I can go and find all the videos. That's what I can do as a repository right here. But let's go and see how we actually do it in the implementation. So I'll jump to the repository and find the implementation class, which is called video repository right here. And the video repository just has some in-memory list right here for the video table. And it has an in-memory int ID to represent a unique identifier. And then it has a converter so we can move between a video entity and a video model object down here. And how does it actually work? Let's scroll down. When I read all my videos here, now I need to figure out how to do that, how to get the videos from the database. And again, right now I just made a very simple solution where I just go and use a for each loop to get each of the videos and just convert them from entities into video objects. If you notice right here, if I mouse over, these are actually video entities we have inside the table. But outside the table, I'm going to have to return actual videos because that's what the contract says right here. Notice right here, the contract says you need to return a list of videos, not video entities. So if I go back, you'll notice I need to convert these entities that are stored in the list inside the table right here. I need to convert those into actual videos before I return them. So this is one way of doing it. There are other ways to do it. We could, for instance, use link, which would just convert it in a one-liner. But let's get back to that later. For now, I'm just going to make a symbol for each loop that converts each of the videos into a list of videos and returns them. Now the list of videos is now returned to the service. Let's just go to the service using the navigation over here. It's returned to the service. That just returns the list back to the UI, to the menu, and the menu just presents the videos one by one. So that's actually how the code kind of go through each layer to get some information and send it back. And I know there's a lot of stuff there you might not have caught the first time right here, but don't worry, we'll dive more into it later, where we'll step by step just create our own methods from scratch. But for now, I just want to give you guys a quick introduction to how we actually call the interface inside our menu right here, the service interface, and how the service interface then redirects using an implementation to a repository interface, and that repository interface redirects again using an interface all the way down to a video repository that knows how to actually find videos from right now an in-memory database, just representing a simple list like this. So that's the first step. Now you kind of know the steps that we're going through in order to get all the way down to the repository and get data back all the way to the UI. Now there are ways that this works using dependency injection. We'll look at that soon. Before we do it, let's just try and have a look right here at a drawing I made that represents the same idea. So the UI I wanted to call read all. It called a service that's represented as an interface in the core package. That service had an implementation in the domain package, which called the repository in the domain package. That repository had an implementation in the infrastructure repository package, who knew how to actually go and get the data, not from an SQL database, but from an in-memory data table. We'll dive more into this next time. Let's talk a little bit about dependency injection, which is extremely important in order to make this work. So let's edit right here. Now you know kind of how, just by calling this symbol 2 right here, it actually does a lot of code behind the scenes in order to represent the single video I have in my database for now. See you next time where we'll dive more into dependency injection. Bye bye.